Dancing is important in the record, in the music video that you made for Into the Willows. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of dancing.
Yeah, it's all dancing. Yeah, yeah.
But there's this recurring focus on to me, it's almost as if we're recognizing through the record. The record is recognizing the value of, on the one hand, human connection, on the other hand, music, both expression and dancing.
Yeah.
But rather than it being, say, dance music, rather than it being the soundtrack to the hopping party in the warehouse, it's kind of ruminating, or it's reflecting.
Exactly.
It's reflecting on the value of music and dance.
Right. Yeah. Like and like with track 5, like that idea really was like, oh, well, this could be a concept, right? Like, because not that I have concept albums, but you're always searching for a concept, and so that concept was really hitting with that song, and when it was like the drums are super, like, it's like it's, you can tell it's intense, but it's like super muffled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
It's like, oh yeah, there's like, and then the door opens, right? So that's the thing that those were kind of, those are those characters. Yeah. Throughout the whole record, there's like the metaphorical door opening. Like trying, part of music too, that's the 3-dimensional part of music. To me, I've always like really wanted like 3D music, and not to say I'm mixing this record in like quadraphonic, like where back in, there were
you did produce, mix and master.
Yes,
record,
yeah,
highlight.
Totally, yeah. But it's not like but what do you do with just the 2 speakers, the left and the right speaker, and how, like, sometimes the party's in the right speaker, and there's different panning stuff that I was trying to do, and I want to do more of that, where trying to get people out of this environment of their natural, like, you can only, there's limitations, but the 3D part of it is kind of what I'm striving to like get more of, like, how can a record sound like you're moving through a door, metaphorically, but yeah, there are some of those moments that I really, it's fun. It's actually a fun, because it almost kind of gives you a little bit of a challenge to like, how can this, instead of being loud and quiet, like where it's like a Pixies song, what if it's like really muffled and almost like just muddy, and you can't understand what's going on, and then
that's what the juxtaposition is.
Yeah,
rather than Pixies loud, quiet, muffled.
But like what is that? For me, it's like muffled into like super clarity. It's like something that's like a vocal. Like if a vocal is super clear, but everything else is really like you can't. It's muddy until it becomes more into focus. It's almost like the lens like being blurry, and then whoa, it's in focus now. And
that helps to create this sense of being in a different place where there's different scope for connection. Because we're choosing between different types of connection, like connection through music, connection through conversation, the kind of visceral dancing, or just like being in the physical presence of a person that one is having some kind of emotional intimacy with through the conversation that's getting interrupted by the sound from the other room. And so the blurriness and then the crispness is helping to kind of create this sense of shifting.
Exactly. Of moving throughout a house, or moving through like a house party. Your people are upstairs, people are in the basement. It's like, I love the parentheses kind of came later when I was like thinking about like, oh yeah, like a lot of these titles even have duality, and like there's a lot of like most of them have at least some sort of it, and like
Cry Dance is
Cry Dance, but
many of the others too.
Yeah, because there's and I think that that to me was the challenge, and I think that why I kind of was like, for me when I'm like doing songs and making songs or writing songs, like I'm like, what's the challenge, or like where like I'm always kind of like thinking like, how do we make this more dynamic, or like how can the dynamics influence the way you listen to like like when you're watching a film, you're like, okay, well, this is like the part where we don't know what's going on and we're about to maybe be like frightened and scared, and like, but yeah, I don't know.
A particular instance of duality that you've referred to in relation to the record before is that of, on the one hand, the beauty of what was about to be recorded in the session, the recording session, and on the other hand, a tornado.
Yes.
That was arriving
the first day,
just
of
as
tracking.
you were set up to track the record.
Yes. So we
sirens blaring.
It was just like crazy, we were like, okay, I have all these demos, and how you start a record, you're like, well, I got these songs and I feel like they're really strong, but let's check them out.
So you've got everyone together.
So everyone, and this is like, right kind of when I was getting the studio set up, so it wasn't fully like set up as it is now, but and
there's the strangeness of the event of everyone being together that the record is kind of about.
And we're all like, so Brooke's making empanadas, and we were like made a bunch of food, and we're like getting ready, and like, okay, we're gonna just have a really good recording session, and then it just was like tracking our first song, all of a sudden like and like we're like, because we're down in the basement.
Siren.
Yeah, because that part of the studio is in the basement, and just the tornado sirens are going off, and we're just like, and this is the first recording since the pandemic, and like, it's like the like one thing I've been looking forward to.
Yes.
And it was like,
matched up everyone's calendars.
Yeah, everyone's calendars. Yeah, exactly. Getting 5 people in a room together, and it was just like, and then everyone's phones started ringing. Are you okay? Like, are you okay?
Right.
So I just kept the mics recording. Like I was like, you know what? We're just gonna document this.
Because there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
And
so all that party sound.
I do have potatoes ready.
I do have potatoes ready. Because Brooke was making empanadas.
I suddenly thought of that soundbite when you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, and like we were, so it's like everything that could possibly go wrong in a recording session went wrong. But we were stuck in a basement during a tornado. So what do you do?
With all your instruments.
And the power, we're like, well, I was like, man, let's just record. Like, let's just, like, we did first takes on most of the demos I had at the time. Mm-hmm. There's a couple songs that I did after that are not during that session, but but for the majority of the first initial tracking is that I kept so much of those first takes of songs, because we're like, well,
you built up from those foundations which had the stamp of that storm.
Yeah, exactly. It's
and the lyrics even too. Look into the storm, into the willows, and then get out of the storm in the following track.
Yep.
Mississippi Cops in a Blockbuster video.
Yeah, yeah.
So are those lyrics responsive
Yes.
to the situation that's happening as
Totally.
the recordings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were
Are all the lyrics kind of responsive to the situation, or that's just one of the ways in which the storm ended up being
yeah,
stagnant?
it's one of the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it creeped in when I needed it.
Right.
You know, like sometimes it's like again, taking people a little bit away, like the fragmentation of lyrics. Sometimes, like, I really will I'll just go, okay, this is where a storm. I feel like there's a storm lyric. Like,
Yes.
you know, I feel like
storm
this needs
becomes
to
a
be here.
character,
But yeah, it was a crazy recording session because, like, you know, Izzy, like,
Cruz?
yeah, Izzy Cruz, you know, she was like getting phone calls from her mom, and then like, because, you know, that part of the neighborhood that we were in, like, you know, she was getting, like, her mom was like a couple miles away, and like, should we just meet up? Like, should we just all like I was like, come over, you guys can just come over here or whatever.
Shelter from the storm.
Shelter from the storm, but we're playing music in a basement, so
we're recording an album.
yeah, we're recording an album, but the more the merrier. You know, I was like, maybe
but we care about you, and we want you to be safe.
Yeah,
it's interesting. The case in point of
Yeah.
the navigating, you know, the social situation.
Right.
And if you always had the intention of there being this idea of there being noise coming through from a noisy kind of basement party,
right?
You have this extra unexpected sonic intrusion of the
exactly
song.
Yeah. And so we're getting like hurrying through some of the songs because we're like, well, we don't know if power's gonna go out, you know, and I was like, let's just like, and everyone was, we had snacks, you know, we had everything ready to be holed up in a basement. Like, that's what musicians do. Like,
yes.
we go into a basement. Like, there could be a tornado going on upstairs, and we'd be in the safest spot possible, right? Like, it's like we're not doing anything different, except we have the mics recording, and we're just gonna play it. And so we actually ended up getting more out of that night because
there wasn't a tornado.
Because there was, and it was like crazy. So we couldn't drive. Like, no one was like, everyone was kind of, well, let's just do more because it's like we don't want to leave anyway.
We're in the safest place.
We're in the
we're doing the same.
Yeah,
let's do more of the same.
Yeah, exactly. So our bass player Evan, he has a boat. He owns a boat on the Mississippi, and so
Evan Fox.
Yeah, Evan Fox. Yeah, he lives in a houseboat, and so we're like, and there's even a part where we're talking about. I'm like, yeah, how do you make sure your boat doesn't, like, you know, and he was worried a little bit, but his neighbors like got a rope, you know, roped his boat off or whatever. You know, it's just like, just so many things.
It's a whimsical detail.
Yeah, and you're there's something when you're playing and there's some tension going on that like there was not a lot of like I kept all that tension in the recording. Like there was no, it was like, it's almost like the weather just gave us this like magic moment to like to do something cool, and then
like
later on I was like, okay, this is a party album, you know, because it wasn't, I didn't intend to do an album like this concept basically was just like thrown into me, like it was like nature basically was like, this is the concept of your album.
It gifted you,
you know. Yeah, it was like, okay, oh yeah, sometimes you got to listen to other, you know, listen to nature, listen to the environment will tell you.
The storm provides the palette.
Yeah, you know. And I also really like the Beastie Boys, so Ill Communication, you know, like that record, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you familiar with that record? Like,
not that one as much as some other Beastie
but like
Boys.
You know, there's always like
what is the Beastie Boys impact on the record?
Well, just like the party, like that atmosphere, right? Like they always kind of like have those little like little like, you can tell they're just like hanging out recording, and like the mics are on, and they're like,
you wanted to capture that,
you know. And yeah, so there's part of that too where I'm like, I've like secretly have always wanted to do like an album, like a party album, like that. So it just happened to be like that was like, this is the time. I could have done it. I could have 10 years ago, but it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
So
Potatoes weren't ready.
right.
Now the potatoes are ready.
Right, and the potatoes are ready now.
You have to wait for the potatoes.
You got to
be
wait for the
ready.
potatoes. Exactly.
And then strike when the potatoes are hot.
So here we are, 2023. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite songs is "Into the Air, Up to Heaven," and I like how there are a couple of moments in that one where there's the instrumentation very distinctly. We were talking about kind of the clarity and the clarity on the one hand and muffledness
Yeah.
on the other. Well, there's a clarity to the communication of this idea of ascending, escalation.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sounds tornado-esque.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any thoughts on the instrumentation, perhaps in that particular one, how it kind of builds up to this climax and how it musically conveys this idea of into the air, up to heaven?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like Izzy's performance on that track is unbelievable. You know, she's just like,
What's she playing? She's on percussion?
she's doing percussion and then she's singing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and during that part, it was just like where that climax happens, that like orchestra, just like, you know, I kind of threw every sort of orchestra, like choir sounds, orchestra sounds. Like I was just like, make this part just like, you know, huge. And so I think she really just dialed in this anger and emotion and like the, you know, because mostly it's like this little drone that like this kind of drone, it kind of drones at the beginning and kind of builds, you know, it builds like a song, you know, it's, you can, you know, feel that there's something missing, and then it like, it just like, but in certain ways I wanted it to feel kind of like a tornado, where it was just like, or feel like just all of a sudden like the roof comes off the building, you know, like
we get whisked away to Oz. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, we're not exactly, you know, like, and thinking about all those,
the house gets whisked off.
Yeah.
not just the roof getting whisked off the house.
Yeah, you know, and just, yeah, I don't know. That song, I'm glad you like that one, because that one to me is like, just kind of, I don't know, just like random feelings of like when I'm watching the news, and like it's so dramatic now. Like you watch the news, like I don't watch the news that much, and I remember just like watching it and being like, thinking, man, it's so like end of the world. Like we like watch the news now. It's like it has to be like a movie, you know. Like it feels like a movie when I'm, you know, like when you watch like apocalyptic. You know, I watched, you know, I've been watching like The Last of Us a lot, but like or like, you know, just like movies, and it's like you know, the news comes in and it's like, well, there's a new outbreak of this, or like there's a new fungus, or there's like there's tornadoes, there's all this death happening. Like, but it's more dramatic. Like I remember, I don't know, I guess when I was a kid, like it was like kind of like, okay, well, the evening news, I'm blah blah blah, and remember, you know. Now it's like so dramatic. Like it's like the news is almost like a movie now. Like you watch the news, it's like, I can see why a lot of baby boomers and the older generations kind of like, oh, like they're like intrigued, because it's like it plays on those same dynamics of like dun dun dun, you know, like, and like, you know, but yeah, it's, I don't know, there's certain couple of those kind of, you know, effects or things that I was thinking about, but yeah, like, and then just like feeling some of my favorite moments in music is when you do feel like you're leaving your body, and your spirit is going to a better place, and you're in your happy place, and that to me, like, I can't get that from anything else.
Yeah,
like
that's like
I've done so many drugs, man. No, I'm kidding. But you can't, like you try to get there. But music is the best thing to get.
Yes.
I'm kidding about that, by the way. Music for me is the drug.
It transports us.
Yeah. Music is but it does so much to my, like, it's just such, like, when the roof is off and it's just like the destruction is happening and you're in the best place possible. You have to go through that. You have to just kind of sit in that destruction and hope that you
discover the beauty in it. And discover beauty.
Yeah.
Allow the beauty to be birthed.
Absolutely.
Which is, in this instance, the record, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another song I really like is "Walking in the Wilderness," and that song kind of deconstructs itself. I feel after the lyric, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
I feel like whatever it is falls to pieces.
Yeah.
Immediately after the character has asserted that they're trying to find it.
Right.
Like the song kind of deconstructs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you agree? And what's going on at that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, again, you're not to like beat the duality over the head, but how many people are in a beautiful park, and there's like, canyons and just amazing, just like the scenic, you're like, you're in the most beautiful part of like whatever, and you're just like,
I was like, what do you do?
Whoa.
Do you have something important to do on your phone?
Wow. Dude, this Instagram, do you hear what happened? And like, wow, there's a show going on. Somebody's promoting their show.
Right.
Wow. There's that part of like, wow, like we're in the wilderness, we're in this beautiful, like there's all this nature and all these amazing things around us, and
there's the possibility of connection, and we're missing it.
Right. It's like we're looking for it in the wrong ways, and we're digging into our entertainment. Like we're like, oh, this is entertainment, like yes. And we're all guilty of it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I'm just like I sit and meditate in the woods, and I'm like, But
also, unless the person promotes the show, then you won't be able to be transported by the music when you're at it.
Right.
And so, speaking of being at shows, you were going to be at a great number of shows.
Great number of shows. Yes, we're going to do the record in its entirety. We are, and then we'll probably play a bunch of fun covers.
Oh, very nice.
Because that's also really fun to do. And so
you're good at covers.
We love covers. And
back in 2015.
So people, sometimes again, you need the like. It's not all like one package. Like you can be like, I'm gonna sing from my heart these songs I poured my heart and soul into, and then we're gonna play David Bowie.
Right.
Turns out both are great.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have a bunch of songs which are conceptually grappling with the idea of a party.
Yep.
And then also, there's going to be a party.
There's going to be a party.
Where there's verses
songs,
and choruses.
Yeah, songs that
along.
like
the vocal comes in.
It's like that Spotify playlist, that you're like, okay, but I gotta have a banger here, and it's like, and that's how we listen to music and stuff now, and so I think I don't get hung up on cover. Like I love playing other people's music. Like I think being and no artist, songwriter that is good will tell you otherwise. I think it's playing cover, like,
apart from the ones whose songs are better than everybody else's.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly.
That person.
Yeah, right. You know, and you know, I just love playing covers. Like it's a thing that I never thought I would love.
Because when gift, especially in the context where people need music and they need to come together, they need to dance.
Yeah,
like the cover is a gift.
A cover is a gift, and I kind of came up in the punk rock world where it was like, no, like you always play your own music, and you know,
authentic.
It's like you play your own stuff, and it's like you're, you know, it's you would never cover another song, you know, like that would be, you know, whatever. But I love it. I love like being like covering stuff or doing. I'm actually doing a Violent Femmes tribute.
Ooh, when's
at the Parkway.
You referring to that at the Parkway is reminding me of the various times that you've taken whole Radiohead.
Yes.
And which in turn is reminding me that there was a kind of it struck me as a kind of Weird Fishes vibe to specifically You Don't Have to Carry It All.
Oh, cool.
And a few other moments too. Like sometimes I feel like the guitar was reminiscent or doing something similar to
Interesting.
Weird Fishes.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that song.